Science.
What's up, guys? We're gonna talk about Andrew today.
Yeah.
And his wonderful life story. So, Andrew, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and just kind of like your upbringing and.
Sure. Yeah. So I am from Walker County, Alabama.
Nice.
Which is like
the land of the Jacks.
Yeah, land of lots of Jack's restaurants, which are like breakfast places for people who don't know what that is. But Walker County, and specifically Jasper, which is where I'm from, they're small, like rural areas.
Right.
So I had like a very southern upbringing. You know, everybody's like very religious.
Right.
A lot of people are like very into football and sports and everything.
How into football?
Oh, like extremely.
Like,
you know, yeah.
Like more into football than their religion.
About the same, probably. Like they're surprisingly into high school football, which is what blew. It's weird to me because it's like, okay, I can see it maybe for college or for like the NFL,
right?
But it's like these are like high schoolers; they're not even good.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's like I hate to break it to you, but your son is terrible. At
yeah, he's not going pro.
No,
you know, he's probably gonna go get.
He's probably not even gonna fucking make it to college.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's what it was like growing up. Like. Not a huge emphasis on education culturally, like in the area.
Right.
But luckily, like my parents were really strong.
Okay.
Positive influences on like getting educated and focusing on school and having a good work ethic and stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah. But definitely like, so for people who don't know, Walker County is like one of the places for the highest abuse of opioids. So
Oof.
Yeah, so like the opioid crisis and the opiate epidemic or whatever, like Walker County is one of the worst places in the nation for it.
Golly.
There's lots of methadone clinics. There's lots of like drug addicts around. Lots of arrests for it. So it's like it's like a weird place to grow up.
Yeah, that's
also
kind of like a very strange. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say like also like the school that I went to, at the time, we had 2 AP classes. So like I hear of all these people that are like, oh yeah, I came into college with like 20 credit hours from my high school, and I'm like,
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm like, how? You know, because we had 2 AP classes, and you could, if you took the AP exam and got a high enough score, then you could like skip those classes.
Yeah, you could skip those classes. Yep.
And we offered a third one my senior year, and I remember it was like a big deal, you know.
Everybody lost their mind.
Yeah, because we had a third AP class.
Did you take AP classes?
I did. I took all. My parents made me. So.
Were you a 4.0 in high school?
I did. I had a 4.0 in high school.
Ooh,
yeah.
Look at you.
So yeah, but it wasn't by choice.
You have more than the 4.0 if you took AP, right?
That's not how our school did it. So
okay.
Yeah, that's why I was like confused whenever you said someone had more than a 4.0.
Yeah, I knew a lot of people that had more than the 4.0 in high school.
So our school did not do that. But yeah. So, but a lot of people like don't even graduate. A lot of people kind of
really.
Yeah.
At Jasper?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not surprised.
It was Walker High School at the time, not Jasper High School.
Oh,
Jasper High School is new, and it's like way better than what I went to.
Oof. That's how it goes, though.
Also, at the time, the highest math that was offered at my high school was like Algebra 2 Trig, and which is
wow. Yeah, are you serious?
Not even pre-calculus. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So like, yeah. So that's a fun one that I tell people all the time. Is like, I didn't even know what a derivative was until I was 23.
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm 26 now.
So would you say that like your parents being like heavily educationally and like inclined and influencing you to be educated, do you think that drove you towards education or away from it?
Initially, it drove me away from it.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So in high school, I was an oddball, like compared to a lot of my friends.
You still are, but keep
going. I know. I'm just like more proud of it now.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's hard to be proud of anything in high school. Really.
Yeah, because like at the time I wanted to, fit in and whatever, and like I guess in my mind I thought the things that I was doing were cool.
Right, but nobody else did.
Not a lot of people shared that opinion.
You lived in Jasper, buddy.
Yeah,
so.
Like I lived in Jasper and I played tennis and I was in a show choir.
So yeah, what they
So-
thought was cool was let's get in our trucks, go mudding, and put in a
Yeah.
big old dip.
and watch football games, you know.
Yeah,
And I was in the
exactly.
band, like I was in the high school band.
Right.
So yeah, so music was what I was focused on at the time. So
Gotcha.
when my parents, I remember talking to my,
What did you play in the band?
I was a marching percussionist. So
Really?
so you know the tenor drums, the
Yeah.
like, the ones
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
they go around like this. Those were the ones that I played.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I loved it, dude.
That's
I loved being on.
awesome.
I also met some. So despite my high school not being like a super positive experience, now that I look back on it, I actually really met some like really cool people because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's
one of
good.
them was my drumline instructor. His name was Mr. Deloach. We called him Mr. D.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh,
and
Mr.
he was
D.
like, he was a big part of. He probably doesn't even know this, but he was a big part of like me learning how valuable discipline is and like
Yeah.
how valuable being focused is.
Right.
Because I remember we would sit in our line when we were practicing, and he would say like, "I want you to focus on all of the sounds around you," and he's like, "I want you to like sit here and focus on like hearing your own breath, focus on hearing the air conditioner in the background,
Interesting.
focus on hearing the echo of the room."
Sounds like this
He's
guy.
like, "Focus on hearing my voice."
Yeah.
You know, so like every time he would say something, you know, he was like, just let your attention of everything else that you have going on in your, kind of like yoga.
That's what I
like,
was gonna
let
say.
your
It sounds like this
attention-
guy does yoga or something.
Yeah, like let your attention of everything else, like your homework, your girlfriend,
Anything you else having going on right now,
just let it
just
fade away.
Let it go. Yeah.
Right? And the reason that you do that, it's like very significant, obviously, because when you're on a drum line, especially if you're a snare drummer, which is not what I was,
Right.
but especially if you're a snare drummer, you want 5 snare drums to sound like 1 snare drum,
Okay.
right? Just
Right.
louder,
Right.
right?
Right.
You want all of your stick heights to be the exact same. You want everybody to be hitting the drum at the exact same moment. And if you focus on the echoes in the room, you can actually hear like these very minuscule differences, like that you wouldn't hear otherwise.
Right.
Like if you were just like kind of not focused, just like a normal amount of attention,
Right.
you would just hear them as one noise, right?
Right.
It would sound like they were together.
Right.
But when you start focusing on like the echoes and like you get really,
Detailed.
you know, attuned to your
Right.
senses,
Yeah.
then you can hear like the millisecond differences between,
Wow.
and it'll, instead of hearing like this nice like sound, you'll hear like like this like
yeah.
you know, kind of
or
thing.
It's like just
barely off.
Yeah.
And you can tell though because the echoes will accentuate that.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat.
That's super cool.
So he had a huge impact on my life. Another one was a guy named Mr. Cordell. So
Mhm.
he was an English teacher. And I was like, so I was heavy liberal arts, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
kind of strange
yeah.
because like now I'm an
Considering
engineer.
your background now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like I'm heavy science now.
Right.
But at the time I was heavy liberal arts. So I loved reading. I loved writing. I wrote poetry.
Did you really?
I did. I swear I
Do you
did.
still have some?
I probably don't. Even if I did, I wouldn't read them.
We could share them with our audience.
Maybe. Hey, we
Bonus
can-
content.
on Patreon. Yeah, like
if you
want
want
to
to listen to Andrew's poems,
I will narrate them myself.
I'll narrate some of them.
Yeah,
And that'll be interesting.
it's gonna be a high cost for that though.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to
it'd
be
pretty,
a bigger patron.
You're gonna have to pay a pretty penny for that one.
But
Anyway,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
so Mr. Cordell, he got me. I was reading a lot when I was in his class, and he turned me on to the Transcendentalists. So like Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Walt Whitman to a degree, you know.
Right.
So like all these types of people,
Mhm.
and specifically there was a talk called "The American Scholar"
Okay.
by Ralph Waldo Emerson, where basically he makes the case that like the most natural state and the most free state that any human can be in is to be thinking for themselves.
Okay.
And it's like this beautiful piece of literature where he just
Yeah.
talks about like you should be original, you should think, you should like not just take life sort of passively,
Right.
you know, but consider things and like make your mark, you know.
Right.
Like there's a line where he says that the entire purpose of books is not for reading books, but for writing new ones.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a great I'm paraphrasing, but it's a great little quote.
Yeah, for sure.
So he had a huge impact on me too, because I was like, that was what convinced me that I was like, I need to be exactly myself. You know,
All
and I'm
the
like
time.
16 at this time, so I'm like having pretty profound like
yeah, those are very profound.
yeah, like I had a pretty profound sort of like identity discovery, you know, like not a crisis. It was more like I found myself
Right.
in high school.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, fuck everybody else. Like I'm going to like they don't have to live my life.
Yeah. 'Cause
They don't
they're not you.
Yeah, they don't have to live with the repercussions of my decisions. I do.
Right.
So like I'm going to do exactly what I want to do, which at the time was music,
Right.
you know. So and my parents loved that.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Is educationally
Yeah, they were like, you know, no, you're doing honors, and I'm super thankful for it now. But they were like,
Right.
no, you're doing honors classes, you're doing AP classes. You know, you need to get a real job.
Right.
I mean, they were supportive of my music, but like as a hobby, which
Yeah.
to me at the time I was like, that's not supportive because like I want it to be my life.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So then, yeah, that was like my high school experience was like,
Wow.
it was weird.
So after high school, I know you did exactly that. You followed that musical dream.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit. How did that lead you to where you are now?
Yeah. So I I went to Belmont University.
Right. Small
So,
Christian school.
small
Nashville,
private
Tennessee.
Christian school in Nashville. And it's a music school. So like
Right.
it's not a music school, like it's technically just a regular university, but
Okay.
like I think of the 7,000 students that go there, something like 3,000 of them are music students.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's-
it's like it's to the degree that
It's in
like
Nashville. So
yeah,
like,
if you go to Belmont and you're a music major, then like, and you meet somebody who's not a music major, you don't call them whatever their major is. You just call them a non-major.
what?
Yeah, like there's majors and non-majors.
I feel like that's so like prejudiced.
Yeah, it's like a little pretentious.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did it though. You know, like it was like
Yeah. No,
I mean,
it's
to
like,
be fair, like if you just
we
randomly
like low key do that at Auburn with engineering.
yeah, if you randomly picked somebody, like your odds were pretty high that they'd be a music major. So
Right.
like it's
Right.
fair. It's about half the population, so like divided into two groups, majors and
Right.
non-majors.
You had a pretty good odds of finding somebody else that was also a
Right.
music major. Right.
Right. So, but the thing that I loved about Belmont, so even if you weren't a music student, Belmont is kind of this like, you know, intensely intellectual school.
Okay.
Okay. And this is actually where, so a lot of people ask me, like, since I came from Walker County, they ask me, like, well, where is your accent? Like your strong Southern accent. You know?
Yeah. Right.
And this is actually where I got rid of that.
You got rid of it at Belmont?
Yeah. I had a public speaking class like my first semester.
Right.
And I gave a speech, and the professor looked at me and he was like, you know, you would sound really intelligent if you didn't sound so Southern.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
It was. And it hurt, but like, I was like, you know, I want that. Like, I want to
sound intelligent.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to sound like, and I think he didn't mean it as harsh as it came across, you know?
Right.
I think he legitimately, like, he was trying to give me a compliment because I think he really liked my speech.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, so that's where that happened. But Belmont's this like very intellectual school. Everybody that you meet there is like trying to change the world in a sense, whether it's through their music or through something else.
Right.
So
Okay.
everybody's like got
That's
this.
nice.
They all have this.
Kind of like, I mean, it's nice. It's kind of, you know, I can see how it could get old, but at least everybody is trying. You know?
Yeah, they all have this sort of like influencer kind of mentality.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm going to be a famous musician.
Right.
Or it's like, I'm going to start a business that's like, you know, I think there was a business that was like recycling the springs from mattresses or something. That was like, it started at Belmont, and it was like a really popular thing while I was there. But
all right, I'm just
it was like such a unique idea.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, it's really strange, but like,
yeah.
All right.
So that had a huge impact on me intellectually, because
Right.
I was like, okay, all these people are so smart, and all of them like know so much about so many things, even though they're just a music major.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. Like, I met a lot of people that started in music and then like switched to law, or then switched to like, you know, to biochemistry or something.
Yeah.
You know, just like
Yeah.
So, but I was like moderately successful in music.
Okay.
I was working. I was getting money.
Right.
I made a lot of friends that are like now, you know, sort of big
Like,
names.
yeah, somewhat like
Well,
successful.
Yeah, like I say friends. Like I was at least associates with, like, if you've heard of the band Coin.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had classes with those people.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like
Because they're big.
yeah, and
I
like
have
specifically
a couple of their songs on my playlist.
specifically Joe Mimmel, like he was
Is he the lead singer?
he's a guitar player.
Okay.
And
okay.
I had like my music theory class with him, and he may not remember me at all because like
Did they all come from Belmont?
Yeah.
Everybody? Really?
I think all of them. Yeah,
That's wild.
at least like I know for a fact the singer and Joe did, but
That's pretty.
and
cool.
then also like Judah and the Lion, like
Judah and the Lion. Yep.
Yeah,
wow.
so-
I have a lot of their music on my playlist.
yeah. So they went to Belmont, and I knew them. I went to shows, like
way before they were
yeah.
big.
And like I said, they probably don't remember me at all.
Yeah.
But like I met them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super cool.
So it's pretty neat.
So how did that lead you into?
And then like I have a
computer
friend.
science?
Yeah, we'll get there. I have a friend that's
Okay.
also like a New York, a Broadway drummer.
Whoa,
yeah.
that's really cool.
So like yeah. So again, I was like moderately successful, but I also like I was very unhappy when I
Okay.
was at Belmont.
Do you know why?
If I had to put my finger on it, it was because I realized like I wasn't being stimulated as much as I wanted to, like mentally.
Yeah.
Because like it's not that like music is not stimulating. It can be very
Very
stimulating.
stimulating, right?
Because like
yeah.
you're playing in front of thousands
thousands
of people or
of people.
something.
Yeah, it's super crazy.
But it's not stimulating mentally because you're just playing the same songs over and over.
Right. You just kind of learn this pattern, and
Right.
it is.
Unless
what
you're
it
doing-
is, unless you're just doing kind of like crazy solos or something
Like
like
an
that.
improv type gig, yeah.
Right.
Then maybe.
Yeah.
So I was just like intensely unhappy
Oof.
doing something that I loved, and it just felt like this like huge sort of mismatch of like I should be a lot more.
Happy.
Yeah, I should be having fun.
Yeah.
And
Man.
and for some reason I wasn't. And I remember there was like this car ride. I think I came home for Christmas break or something. And
Yeah.
I was in the car with my mom, and we were just like on the highway, and she could tell that I was unhappy. And I just
Yeah.
remember like talking to her and being like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And that was a tough conversation to have because like I had just kind of convinced them to let me chase this dream,
Yeah.
and then to be like, okay, you guys were right.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Oof. Yeah.
And it's not that they were right in the sense of like I couldn't have done it. I could have, but
it was more.
it was more just like, yeah, I think
yeah,
you guys
this-
knew me better than I knew myself at the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But but
That's a hard thing to admit.
and I'm so thankful that they let me do it and like learn it firsthand.
I think that's important
Yeah.
to like allow people to go through something like that
Right. Yeah.
where you learn it on your own. I think
So-
the best way to learn something is learn it yourself.
So how did I get into computer science? Well, it's like kind of convoluted. I dropped out of Belmont
Okay.
with
All
no
right.
intention of going back to college.
Really?
Yeah.
What were your intentions when you dropped out of Belmont?
I didn't know. Like that was a weird period of my life. I did not know what I was going to do next.
Andrew McGehee with no direction.
Yeah, it's
That's-
hard to believe,
It's
right?
not even hard to believe. It's terrifying.
Yeah, because I'm such a focused person.
You
now.
are.
Yeah,
So like I
know.
can't even imagine you just being like, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing.
I know. I mean, I was 19 and I had no idea.
God, that's
Legitimately
wild.
zero idea what I was going to do next.
That is crazy. to
So
me.
I literally just kind of like picked something random. I was like, okay, I'll go to Auburn and do chemical engineering, and I just like came to that decision randomly. But in my
Right.
head, I was like, that's not what I want to do. I didn't have like I said, I didn't have any intention of actually finishing college. I was like, that's useless.
Right.
So I at the time I went to Church of the Highlands,
Okay.
which is like a big mega church here in
Yeah.
Alabama for
Yep.
people that don't know.
Yep.
And so I was like getting involved in that.
Church of the Highlands. What campus were you at?
It was like Grants Mill, like the main one.
Oh, the main
in
campus?
Birmingham. Yeah,
I bet we were in the same building at the same time at some point.
probably. It's hard to know with a church
That's
that big.
Weird to
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah. But
anyway, go ahead.
so I got super religious, like very involved in church and
Right.
church life.
Those are usually the kind of people that churches attract. People that don't have a direction.
Right. And like I'm sure that a lot of people that go to Church of the Highlands would have like take objection with like the term religious, like
Yeah.
because it makes it sound very,
religious.
judgmental
Right.
or something.
Yeah. I know exactly.
But
what you mean.
overall, it was like a fairly positive experience. But I was there, so they had this training school called Highlands College that would train you to be a minister. So
Okay.
so I thought I was going to be a minister,
Okay. All right.
So like a weird shift.
So wait. You went to Highlands College?
Yes, I did. I finished Highlands College.
No, you didn't.
I did, yeah. I didn't finish. So there's an internship that you're supposed to do at the end where you intern under a mentor, which is basically like their way of kind of like funneling students into leadership positions in the church. And I did my internship, and then it's a fun story. It's kind of bad though. Like I don't want to like, if anybody who's religious is listening, I don't want to like discourage you from going to this church.
Yeah, no, we definitely don't want to discourage anybody from doing something that they think is right for
basically
their life.
Like I had this leader in my life that was like kind of a mentor at the time, and a lot of stuff happened where I was in a relationship with this girl that was like very ambiguous and like nebulous, like whether or not we were together and whether or not she was like interested in me the way that I was interested in her. And basically that kind of like got ripped out from under me.
Oof.
And I felt really like, honestly, I felt lied to because she told me that she wasn't like ready for a relationship. And then she was like showing interest in this guy that she was working with at this coffee shop.
Ugh.
And like texting him and stuff. And it was like,
and
I found out. So it was like, wow, okay. So
great.
It's not that you're not ready for a relationship. You're just not ready for a relationship with me.
The with you is silent, like the G in lasagna.
Right. Which now, I'm like happily in a relationship.
Yeah.
So with Marissa, so things worked out.
Right.
But
that's good.
yeah. But so that
Marissa's great. Marissa, if you're listening, we love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
Anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, sorry. But so that got ripped out from under me, and then my brother went through some stuff with his kids, where basically they both got diagnosed with cystic fibrosis.
Oh,
which is a big deal.
Yeah.
But they got diagnosed, and then they weren't showing any symptoms, and like there was no, the whole thing felt really shady, and like the entire family was aware of it. We were all like, that doesn't sound right,
Interesting.
It almost felt like malpractice in a sense.
Yeah.
And so my brother got in a lot of trouble for that. For like, basically he was like, no, I'm not gonna give them medication that they don't need because of the side effects of the medication.
Right.
So
wow, I respect that.
I mean, my brother, like he's like highly academic, very smart. He was like our first guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
So like, if anybody's gonna like do the research,
it's him.
It's him. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and like, honestly, like the government shouldn't be able to compel you to give your kids medication.
Absolutely not.
Like.
Yeah, I don't.
I think I know a lot of people. So I'm not trying to. I sound like an anti-vaxxer.
I just don't think that things should be mandated. You should always have that free will.
Right. That's the point. It's not that like he should be allowed to not give the children the care that they need, but like in this situation, it was. I guess it's like kind of like riding a line, right? And this is why it caused so much trouble.
Yeah.
So DHR got involved.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, it was very serious, like very serious, and he had to go to court and like all this stuff. It was like a big deal. Dang. And it was so stressful for our family.
Yeah.
And that happened at the same time that that relationship got taken out of my life. So I was like struggling to cope, know? And so I reached out to
understandably so.
Right. So I reached out to my mentor at Highlands.
Right.
And I was like, I need to talk. And he basically was like, okay, I'm very busy, but can you like send me some times that work for you so that we can set up a meeting? And I was like, sure. So I sent him some times. And then, like a week goes by and I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
So then I was like, listen, like I sent him another email, like, listen, I really need to talk. Like, let's set something up. Like, I got some stuff going on that I need to talk about,
Right.
And then he was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm like really busy. Just send me some times and we'll get it set up. Another week goes by and I'm like, dude, it's almost to the point where the things that I was like stressed about have become irrelevant because your response has taken so long.
Right.
Yeah. So, I was like, listen, I can't do this. So I stopped. I ended my internship and I told him, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to do the internship anymore. And then he sent me an email that was like, no, like, let's meet.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
And,
God, that pisses me off.
Yeah. So then I sent back, okay, just send me some times and I'll let you know.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Oh man, this
Yeah.
is why we're friends.
Because I was like, I
That
wanted
is
him to
great.
know, like, that's not okay.
Yeah,
You
no.
can't do that.
Absolutely not. Especially when
So-
you're like designated as
Right.
someone's mentor.
And like, I'm not saying I did the right thing. I probably handled it poorly. But but
how old were you?
at the time, I think I was 21, 22.
Yeah, you shouldn't be expected to handle that any other way
Yeah. So
than poorly.
how did I get into computer science? Right. All that to just tell you some context. So
Right.
somewhere along the line in that chain of events, I met a guy named Craig Hansen. Okay.
Craig Hansen.
At the church. And Craig is a super cool guy. So
Right.
Craig was an audio engineer. So we connected through that, like, music. He was also like definitely in his 50s when we met,
Really? Okay.
which is kind of like weird, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it at the time,
I mean, I don't.
but it was
think-
like I was going to this guy's house and like drinking coffee with him.
dude, I don't
You
see.
know?
I have like a really close friend of mine who's probably pretty close to 40.
Right. I'm just saying, like, nowadays the perception around that is like, that's weird.
Yeah, I guess.
But I'm like, I trusted him.
The norm around it. Yeah, it's like, well, that's weird, but like, I don't
Yeah.
know. My oldest brother's almost 40 and we're good friends. So like
Yeah.
I kind of I avoid those like
Yeah.
social norms.
I guess I just like didn't realize that it was like not normal to have
Yeah.
friends that are like over 50.
Yeah. I
As
mean
a
it's not
20-year-old?
it's not super common.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it should be like looked down upon in any
No.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I met him and we connected over music and coffee, and he would like buy these exotic coffees and stuff, and I would like go to his house.
Hey,
and,
that sounds like my kind of guy.
It was no, he's super chill, dude.
Yeah.
And and then I started talking to him. I was like, I really like this guy. I like his life. He seems like he's got a good life. Let me ask him what he does. And he was like, well, I'm a programmer for Books A Million. And I was
Really?
like, okay, what do you do? And he was like, well, I write software that will recommend books based off of books that you've read in the past. And I was like,
That's cool.
what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
And also, to be fair, so again, I came from Walker County. I'd never met a programmer in my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is
coming from Walker
programming?
County, you're like, what's code? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what is programming?
Yeah.
So
That's crazy to me.
yeah, and he told me, he was like, I use this programming language. It's called Ruby, and yeah, and I was like, really? I was like, that sounds so interesting. I would love to learn how to do that. What should I do? And he was like, well, don't learn Ruby.
Smart man.
Yeah, and he said, learn Python. And
Very smart man.
And conveniently enough, my roommate at the time had a textbook on Python, like introductory Python.
How beautiful.
Yeah, it's so weird looking back.
It's almost like
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah?
think so. I
Yeah?
think so. So then I loved it. It was so cool to me. It tapped into my sort of liberal arts side because it's like learning a language,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and it's like very creative. But
It's
then
so creative.
But then it satisfied that like mental stimulus that I was missing when I was a
Right.
musician, because
Right.
it was like, this is so hard.
oh
Sometimes
yeah, it's very difficult.
yeah, sometimes getting a program to do like what you have in your head is like it's
You're like,
it's
how
just
do I
it's
do
daunting.
this?
Yeah, sometimes. So then I was like, all right, I need to get educated in this. So
Right.
keep in mind, I'd kind of like, so yeah, I went to Highlands College, but like I'd basically not been in school.
Yeah,
Right,
you
'cause,
hadn't
like-
really done anything academic.
Like the classes that we took at Highlands College, like that would be as compared to like traditional classes, like the
Right.
math and stuff that we took,
Right.
it's like a joke. It's
Wait, there's
laughable.
math at
Yeah. It would basically be this, it'd be like the equivalent of taking a remedial math class at Auburn. Like the types of stuff we were learning were like algebra.
oof.
Yeah. So it was like not, yeah. Or like doing, like learning how to do like basic interest on like a bank, like a banking account. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That type of math.
I'm sorry. I just
No, I
it's-
know. It's
yeah,
like, it's not real, like,
No, it's not.
it is real math. It's just not like, what I would need to do.
Yeah,
computer
it's
science.
not. Yeah.
And I don't want to look down on that.
I don't
that,
either. It's just.
if that's all like all you know, then that's fine. But
yeah.
you can definitely learn more. There's a lot of math out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's how I got into computer science was because of this 50-year-old audio engineer who loved coffee.
What a guy,
Yeah,
Craig Hansen.
Craig Hansen.
Craig, if you're listening, we love you. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. So then I was like, I need to get educated. So I started looking for schools, but also at the time, like this is still the same time where I've basically had all that stuff happen with my brother and my
Right.
family.
Yeah. So like things are pretty
that girl.
tense.
So I'm still like at one of the lowest points of my life. So I wasn't ready, you know?
Right.
And I remember kind of like reflecting back to some of the stuff I learned in high school about like, you know, you have to listen to your own voice. Like that's like the transcendentalist type stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to just get, everybody was saying like, oh, you're going to be okay. Like everything's going to be all right.
Ugh.
And like people only say that when like you're not okay.
Right.
Like, and you're not going to be okay for a while.
Yep.
You know, like everything's
going to be fine.
Like nobody's going up to somebody who's just absolutely crushing it and they're like, oh, you're going to be okay.
You're going to be, everything's
like
going to
nobody's
work
doing
out.
that. Like
No.
the only reason they're saying that is because they're like, oh, shit,
This
dude,
guy's in a
this
really
guy.
bad spot.
Yeah.
Like,
And like, so I was like, oh God, I'm so tired of hearing people tell me I'm going to be okay.
yeah. Oof.
So
I've been through that.
like any rational person, I was like, I'm going to leave the country. So
Nice. All right.
So I had been working at the Apple store, like kind of concurrently with all of this. And
Right.
I had saved up a fair amount of money. So I was like, I am leaving
Nice.
by myself.
Fuck yeah.
And I moved to Germany. And I lived in Germany for about 3 months. I learned German. And I, at the same time, though, the Syrian refugee crisis had kind of like come into full swing.
Oh, man, I forgot about all that.
Yeah. So basically a lot of visas were getting denied because they were non-essential.
Yeah.
So that they could help out by granting visas to Syrians.
Right.
And yeah, so my visa got denied
Oof.
to stay. So I was only able to stay for 90 days, which is what Americans are allowed to stay just for like vacation.
Right.
And so I technically, I guess I got deported, you know?
Damn.
Like willfully, you know?
Yeah,
It wasn't like
you left,
Yeah, but it was like.
But it was like, damn, I don't really want to leave.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of have to.
Yeah. So that's when I came back, and that's when I started at Auburn studying software engineering.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a journey.
Yeah. I didn't know anything, dude.
I
started at Auburn, I did not know anything.
What semester did you start?
That would have been fall of 17.
So literally one semester before me.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And I'm graduating one semester after you. Yeah.
That is weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a
And
journey.
I'm 26 now. Yeah. So
Wow.
Definitely a non-traditional sort of path to getting a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want to say?
Yeah. I would say like, are you saying like the thing that we do at the end of the episodes?
We could do that, but before we got to that, I was gonna say, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Sure. I mean, I guess I could talk about like my path to Google.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, I guess
So-
I forgot to ask that question.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you ended up at Google.
So I like, for people who don't know and people who are listening, I've interned at Google twice, and like I have the opportunity to convert to a full-time engineer at Google. So that's super exciting. I'm super grateful for
it's
that.
Like crazy exciting.
But there was a lot of work that went into that.
Goals.
So when I first got to Auburn, as you know, we have this club called ACM.
Yep.
Which stands for Association for Computing Machinery, which is such a lame name.
Such a lame. Yeah, it's terrible.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I didn't know what it stood for until after I'd already joined. Because if they had told me that's what it stood for, I probably wouldn't have joined.
Probably like, yeah, never mind.
Like it sounds like hardware.
It does.
Yeah.
It sounds like hardware because I remember when I was at South Alabama, I was like, "What's the ACM?" And they said that, and I was like,
Right.
"I'm not joining that."
Yeah.
I was like, "That sounds like nothing I'm interested in."
Yeah. So then I was like, I want to go to that, and they were just talking about things like competitive programming and all this stuff. And I remember Google had already visited before ACM had talked to me. So Google had said like, okay, you need to build up your resume, and you can do that by like building projects. You can do that by doing research. You can do that by joining clubs that do programming stuff. So it was really kind of like ideal timing because I had just had it put in my ears, you know, like, okay, if there's a club that programs,
Join that
you
club.
should join it if you want to work at
Right.
Google.
Right.
And so I joined, and I remember this guy named Mitch Price. And Mitch was just like a boy genius, like
All right.
like, yeah, he was just super smart. And I remember talking to him and just feeling so stupid.
You mind me asking how old you were when you got to Auburn?
I was 23.
23.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 23. So that was when I started Cal 1. That's when I learned what
See,
limits and derivatives were.
I kind of wish that I had started that late.
Why?
Because I had no intentions of like
paying attention.
Yeah. Exactly. Sorry, but
no.
Yeah.
So but honestly, dude. So you were talking about in your episode like how you were like this semester is going to be the end.
Yeah.
For me, when I first started, I went in. I was so arrogant, dude. I went in and I was like, I'm gonna crush this, okay?
Right.
And then I started taking these classes, like literally Cal 1 and like Physics 1, and I was like, dude, fuck, this stuff is so hard.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna get by. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And then I found 3 Blue 1 Brown on
that
YouTube.
guy is he's a
It was a game changer.
Hero.
It was a game changer because he was explaining just like calculus and
he makes it interesting.
And he makes it interesting. And once you understand calculus like on an intuitive level, then physics just kind of clicks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In some ways, like there's a lot more like equations and stuff that you have to sort of memorize.
Yeah, like kinematics and all that.
And there's a lot more like sort of counterintuitive concepts like instantaneous velocity, for example.
That stuff's kind of wild.
It's like a weird.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about. Okay, like we just have a very
measuring
small
velocity at a single point in time.
It's really not. There's no such thing as velocity at a single point in time.
Yeah, you can't really measure.
But it's like an infinitely small.
It's an infinitely small point in time, and
right?
That's the idea.
And that's so yeah.
And that's what a derivative is.
But yeah, so like
anyway,
I was taking Cal 1 and Physics 1 and stuff, and just being like, gosh, I'm not gonna graduate. Like I thought I could do this, but I can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So then I started going to ACM. I was watching my 3 Blue 1 Brown videos. I was working my ass off, and Mitch had gotten his job at Google.
Right.
At this point.
Oh, so he'd already had a full-time offer.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
So he was graduating that year, and I was just starting. And I met Mitch, and I was like, dude, what should I work on? And he was like, you should commit, like, wholeheartedly to a competitive programming team. And I was like, okay, I trusted it. I just trusted him. Yeah.
I mean,
because I didn't know any better.
Google.
Yeah. No, I know. I didn't know any other way.
Right.
So he's like, just commit wholeheartedly to competitive programming teams. So that's what I did. And then I went to the International Programming Competition, ICPC.
Right.
And that's where I met Connor Lane.
Wow.
Like lifelong friend.
Yeah.
Met at a programming competition.
Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second episode. Go watch it.
I was so yeah, go watch it. I was so terrible though. Like I solved one problem and Connor solved one, and then this other guy on our team who was like a total douche didn't solve any. Oof. So I felt really proud of the fact that I had solved one, but we were just so like for reference, like the problem sets are like anywhere from 13 to 15 problems.
Oof.
Yeah, and we solved 2 on our team, and it was embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah,
but that embarrassment I bet will kick you in the ass.
It did. It made me want to get better.
Yeah.
And absolutely. So that summer I think is the hardest I've worked. It's probably the most like competitive programming I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, like I solved so many like Caddis and Leak Code and HackerRank problems that summer.
I wish I had a moment like that where something just like fully embarrassed me to go, holy fuck, I really got to work on this.
Like, so you know how the points work? Like if it's, so like for reference, before ICPC, I think I had like 50 points or something.
On Caddis?
On Caddis.
Right.
And 50 for people listening is not a lot.
Not a lot.
And then at the end of the summer, I had like 500.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's wild.
Yeah. And for people listening, if you have over 1,000, you'll be in the top 100 in the U.S.
Oh my god,
yeah.
That's insane.
So yeah, and I'm in that now. So
really,
yeah,
dude, that's awesome.
It is pretty neat. Yeah. So in the U.S., not in the world.
Yeah,
but top 100
still
in
really
the US.
Impressive. I mean, there's a lot of fucking people.
But it's
in
also
the US.
It's Caddis, so not everybody uses it.
Right, but still, it's impressive.
It is cool.
Stop downplaying it.
So that's how I met Connor. That's how I started getting really good at those problems. And then I didn't even know that the reason that Mitch told me that was because you had to solve problems for interviews.
Right.
You know. So now looking back, I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Okay,
like why he told me to do it.
Yeah, I see.
Was because now when
I bet it was probably better that you didn't know that.
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like it was
because otherwise I might have just like optimized for just the interviews.
Yeah, because I feel like it's affected me knowing that's what happens in interviews.
Right.
I feel like I haven't done as much as I could.
Right.
Knowing that it's specifically for interviews.
Yeah. So then, so Connor graduated, I think, almost 2 years before I did. It was like
the fall of 2018.
Yeah, I think so. I think he graduated either fall of 2018 or that spring. I can't remember.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, he's been graduated for a while. So after that, Connor is the one that introduced me to AI.
Okay.
And I thought
you were there a year and a half before I got there. Sorry. I was there at spring 2019.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
That was my first semester.
So you must have just come in with a lot of credits from South.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I was spring of 2019 should have been my last semester of college.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so Connor introduced me to AI, and the rest was kind of history because it was just like, that was so cool to me.
Yeah.
That you could do that, and I knew nothing about it. I was like, this is so neat, but I'm like,
and I could definitely see from like the background and everything that you just explained how like when somebody introduces like some concept like that to you, you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
And you just kind of take it and run.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like that's me. Like, I think anybody who knows me nowadays, like anybody who knows me from like high school thinks I'm an asshole, probably.
That's what a lot of people from my high school probably think, that I'm a douche.
Yeah. And then probably like a lot of people that knew me from like my Highlands days either think that I'm like a needlessly deep thinker or that I'm an asshole.
That's fair.
I think I still have like a significant chunk of people that think that about me.
Right.
But it's better than it ever has been, I promise.
That's good. That's positive. That's positive.
Yeah, it's trending upward.
That's good.
But yeah, that's how I got into AI. And then I guess like more recently is like when I got into neuroscience. So
wow.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It has been a journey.
Sounds like it. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. So let's give us your little spiel.
Yeah.
What you got?
So my profound thought.
Your profound thought. That's what we'll start calling it.
Yeah. So I think that anybody who's ever done anything great, the first person that they convinced that it was possible was themselves. Right?
Yeah.
So like,
right.
You have to believe in yourself. I think that is you have to believe in yourself. You have to accept yourself. Right. Those are my two big things, because if you'll do that, if you'll believe in yourself, that'll handle like a lot of your negative thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll push yourself to do difficult things. If you'll accept yourself, that'll set you free from like failure, but it'll also set you free from other people. So then like, cause like my life is a story about doing things in like non-conventional ways.
Yeah, and denying
like
the norm and going against what the people around you are telling you to do.
Right. Like I didn't do my bachelor's in like a type 4 directly after graduating from high school.
Absolutely not. No,
you know,
you had a very
like I'm just now getting
way.
Yeah, I'm just now getting my bachelor's degree
at 26.
At 26.
Yeah.
And like I'm planning on doing a PhD.
It took me 5 and I'm 24.
Right.
If that tells you. And I finished at 23.
Right. So like my life is a testament to like, if you will do things your own way, and if you'll like work hard, and if you'll believe in yourself, and if you'll accept yourself for when you fall short, then you will succeed, right? It might not look the way that you thought it would, but you will succeed.
Yep. As long as you're willing to accept the fact that when you get to your goal, it may not look the way you wanted it to.
And like my honestly, like I love computer science, I love AI, I love neuroscience, but But honestly, if I had to like pinpoint something that I want to be my life's mission, is I want to convince as many people as I can of that idea.
Yeah.
That they can
you
achieve
can do
what
it.
yeah.
You can do what you want.
They can reach their potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
wow. Beautiful, beautiful words and a beautiful story from Andrew J. McGehee.
Thanks.
So with that, we'll wrap it up. And this, again, is Rando Science.
Yep.
Signing off. Pew!